How am I to get acquainted with them? Was my first thought, as soon as I awoke in the morning. I went out into the garden before tea, but did not approach too close to the fence, and saw no one. After tea I walked several times up and down the street in front of the villa, and cast a distant glance at the windows. I thought I descried her face behind the curtains, and retreated with all possible dispatch. But I must get acquainted, I thought, as I walked with irregular strides up and down the sandy stretch which extends in front of the Neskuchny Park. But how? That is the question. I recalled the most trifling incidents of the meeting on the previous evening. For some reason, her manner of laughing at me presented itself to me with particular clearness. But while I was fretting thus and constructing various plans, fate was already providing for me. During my absence, my mother had received a letter from her new neighbor on grey paper sealed with brown wax, such as is used only on postal notices, and on the corks of cheap wine. In this letter, written in illiterate language, and with a slovenly chirography, the princess requested my mother to grant her protection. My mother, according to the princess's words, was well acquainted with the prominent people on whom the fortune of herself and her children depended, as she had some extremely important lawsuits. I appeal to you, she wrote, as a noble woman to a noble woman, and moreover, it is agreeable to me to make use of this opportunity. In conclusion, she asked permission of my mother to call upon her. I found my mother in an unpleasant frame of mind. My father was not at home, and she had no one with whom to take counsel. It was impossible not to reply to a noble woman, and to a princess into the bargain. But how to reply perplexed my mother. It seemed to her ill-judged to write a note in French. And my mother was not strong in Russian orthography herself, and was aware of the fact, and did not wish to compromise herself. She was delighted at my arrival, and immediately ordered me to go to the princess and explain to her verbally that my mother was always ready, to the extent of her ability, to be of service to her radiance. 3. And begged that she would call upon her about 1 o'clock. This unexpectedly swift fulfillment of my secret wishes both delighted and frightened me. But I did not betray the emotion which held possession of me, and preliminarily betook myself to my room for the purpose of donning a new neckcloth and coat. At home I went about in a round jacket and turn-over collars, although I detested them greatly.